Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of the Let's Be Real podcast. I'm Gavin, and this is Davy. And in this episode, you guys already saw the title. It is What is the Value of a Great Real Estate Agent? So first off, I'm just going to ask you, what is the value of a good agent? So we kind of have four words that apply for this episode, and it's knowledge, convenience, experience, and connections. So I'll ask you, what is the knowledge that someone would gain by having a real estate agent?
So, getting having a realtor on your side to back you, is very important with going through the process of buying a house.
Yeah.
Having a realtor, this is their job. They are masters in what they're doing. This is their field of knowledge. Just like how, with your job, whatever you do on your day to day, that's going to be, what you're considered to be the best at, right?
Yeah.
Or the best in. So that's what a realtor does. And so they have a lot of knowledge in that field already. And so, with the knowledge that they have, they can, they can use that to direct your unique situation and allow that process to be smooth. And so the knowledge that your realtor will have is essential for, a smooth closing process. And, having to, find the knowledge yourself, like, for example, knowing which closing attorney to close with, or knowing what lender to go with, or what kind of a loan to get,
or even more specifically, the things that have to do with your house, the easements, the things you have to look into, maybe zoning. I mean, that's things that are at the fingertips of a realtor. This is all of the things that a realtor has their access to.
Writing up the contracts, learning. You don't want to have to learn all of that on top of the stress that you already have to go through with the move and making a decision with your family, whatever your situation is. And so that's where the realtor steps in and does all that for you, because that is what they do. And so that's just the number one thing I would say as to why, with that knowledge that they can provide for you. That's just essential.
Yeah. Well, and even when it comes to, this is like the title of the video, we purposely used great instead of just a realtor.
Right.
Because a great realtor surrounds themselves in this world. They know the ins and outs.
Right.
I mean, you can find a realtor that isn't experienced and they don't have this knowledge. Those exist. The same as any other job where there's someone who doesn't take it as seriously.
Right.
I like to think of it similar to someone to fix your phone or your computer. You could find YouTube tutorials how to do it yourself. But are you going to do it as good as someone who does that every day?
Right.
Most likely not.
Yeah.
So I like to think about it that way. It's just the knowledge of them knowing exactly where to go to pull your phone apart and find exactly where to get to the battery and how to put it all back together. Is the same as you could sell your home or buy a home by yourself, but you don't have that knowledge that someone who surrounds themselves in real estate every single day that they do.
And also with the negotiation as well, I kind of look at it as too as you having an attorney or a lawyer.
Yeah, you have an advocate on your side for everything that you have to do.
Right. And so they have the knowledge. You kind of look towards them, and you're supposed to, if you have a great agent, like you were saying, if you have a great agent, you explain to them what you want, and they should follow through with the rest.
Well, and a great real estate agent, they're not just trying to sell a house. They're selling their value.
Right.
There are agents that just want to make money. It's fine. Every profession has that.
Unfortunately.
But a great real estate agent doesn't care if you buy the house that you're looking at right now or not. They care about providing you value, taking you from point A to point B as smoothly as possible, and showing you that knowledge. And hopefully giving you some of that knowledge that they have, so that they're not gatekeeping it. There's no reason to do that.
No.
Educating your clients is the best thing to do, because then they now know what to look for because of you.
Right.
And, you know, for all the realtors out there, try to impart knowledge to your clients. Give them something that they can take away from and be like, wow, I learned that today.
Right.
And that was only because of my realtor.
Right.
So, and anybody looking for a realtor, if your realtor isn't giving you bits of knowledge or pointing things out about the houses, or it seems like they are
right,
just trying to make money, I don't want to step on any toes, but maybe that isn't a great realtor.
Right.
But every realtor should be striving to be great. And that is something that I think a lot of realtors need to work on.
Yeah.
Is working to be great. I feel like there's a lot of complacency once people get moving, and they feel like they don't need to really work very hard for their knowledge.
Right. Or educate, you know, people who may not know, you know, first-time home buyers. I have I make sure that in my consultations with my clients that, you know, I show them at least, you know, even if it's my first time meeting them, I show them the process, walk them through the contracts, help them to understand, you know, what they're really getting themselves into, ensuring that they're ready for something, you know, a big step like this. And, you know, me giving them the information and helping them to understand, you know, the process, it gives them, it allows them to be confident in me too, that I can actually take them through that process, because it's something that I have done multiple times, you know, and, you know, I'm just waiting on them to say, let's do it. So, you know, the knowledge that your realtor, you know, brings to you is definitely an important, you know, aspect of having a realtor.
Yeah.
And it's definitely beneficial. So, explain the convenience of having a realtor.
Okay. Yeah. So, the convenience, you know, a lot of people, especially now, a lot of people want to be doing their deals by themselves. And, you know, if you're in a space to do that, feel free to. I don't really want to tell people not to. If they want to sell their home by themselves, that's none of my place to tell them not to. If anybody wants to buy a house by themselves, go for it. But the convenience of having a realtor on your side, a great realtor on your side, is they're going to take care of all that paperwork that you might not know how to do. They're going to take care of that. They're going to fill out everything except for the parts that they need from you, show you exactly what you need to be signing, what it means to be signing that, and give that to you as nicely as possible, in a way that, you know, is easy to digest, easy to understand. Nothing's going to be confusing. They handle all the showings, all the scheduling. All you have to do is say yes or no and show up. And again, for the realtors listening to this is what a great realtor is aiming to do, is get them from point A to point B as seamlessly as possible. If a dispute arises, these clients have an advocate to speak up for them. So they don't have to do that. They get to say, hey, I don't like this, I do like this. The agent goes and tells the other agent that. Or if it's for sale by owner and the buyer has an agent, they get to go tell the seller that. And the buyer does not have to worry about that at all. They get the time to spend looking for more homes that they're interested in, spending that time with their family, spending that time at work. They don't have to go through that. Another thing is, you get that agent even after you sell or buy the home or sell the house. If anything comes up, you can still reach out to that agent and they will answer the questions. You know, if you buy a home and something's interesting about the house, you can reach out and say, hey, I didn't know about this, but I noticed this after we bought the house.
Right.
The agent can still go back to the listing agent and have that. It's going to be more difficult to do that if you don't have an agent and you're doing that by yourself.
Definitely.
And again, agents have access to the MLS. People who are wanting to do it by themselves, they know ways to find information from the MLS. But it's never going to be as easy as someone like you or I just going into it right away, you know,
right,
and being able to get through everything like that.
You know, they would have to, you know, the only way for them to really get access to the MLS, you know, or information the MLS would have, is if they had another realtor who was like their buddy.
Yeah.
That would give them the information. So it's like you still would be using a realtor to some extent.
Yeah.
Just no paperwork signed, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. You know, it's a big convenience having a realtor. You know, all the hard questions. You know, the things that information that you would need. You know, your realtor is supposed to provide that to you. You know, and you know, having to worry about those, getting this information on your own, if you were to, do it by yourself, that's just, you're putting yourself into an inconvenience by doing that.
Yeah.
And so, having someone on your side that you can go to every step of the way and that they'll be with you every step of the way, it's just, how much more convenient can it get?
Yeah, it really can't. With a great agent. With an agent that takes their job seriously.
Right.
And their goal is to make this as easy as possible. And I think the point that we're at now where people want to do it by themselves
right.
is because there are not enough great agents.
Right.
And people have been matched up and almost taken advantage of by agents that are not taking their job as they should be.
Seriously.
But that's just the part of, working to find a great agent, and once you do.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great agents out there as well that have, protected the name, for realtors. So, shout out to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then that brings me into, there's a lot of great realtors. There always have been.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that, is that experience that you get from a great realtor? What kind of experience do they bring to the equation that you wouldn't have if you went without one?
So a great agent, in order to become a higher caliber realtor,
right.
You have to go through, a few deals.
Yeah.
To deal with different situations.
Mm-hmm.
And our fellow realtors out there who are watching this, we all know, you never know what you're getting into with any client.
Right.
It could be anything could happen, and every deal has its own unique just thing that that could make it good or bad.
Yeah.
But with going through all these different types of deals, as a realtor, you learn how to problem solve, while being under contract. And you learn no matter what comes up, you don't just, you don't get cold feet, or you don't think that it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know that because you've seen different situations and you've worked through different problems, and gotten your clients to the closing table multiple times over and over, you start to have a confidence, and you start to look at problems differently. Whereas someone who hasn't, they could have bought a house before, but rules change and markets change. Things are always different by the time they're ready to buy their next house. Even if this is their third or fourth house, it could be completely different from when they bought their last one. Or they could be in a different situation now that, another problem may arise while they're under contract. And so anyway, them seeing something, anything can seem really scary, especially when we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, So that experience your realtor has with working different deals and getting different people to the closing table offers, immense value, to you, having him as a realtor with great experience, with a lot of experience. That's definitely a pillar to being a great realtor.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like you were saying, with them having some time out of, between them selling a house or buying a house and selling the home next.
Right.
That realtor was doing the job when they bought the house, and they were doing the job by the time they were selling it.
Right.
And the things that they missed throughout that period The realtor was picking up every single time.
Exactly.
So they, they have that knowledge of what changed, back to that first pillar. But they have the experience of all of those years building up to now, of all of those deals, all of those people they talk to.
Right.
All of those new, weird, different deals leading up to them now, and they just have more experience than before.
Right.
And there's never going to be less experience when it comes to going, like you and I are never going to be less experienced than we are now. We're never going to be less knowledgeable than we are. It's always going to be up. And
definitely,
a great agent understands that and works to be exponentially better of an agent, of a person, better communication skills.
Yeah.
Every single time. Every single person in every single job should be striving for that.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to realtors, there is a big difference. And it's all based off of how much work you want to put in.
Right.
And, how much experience you want to have.
Yeah.
So,
and the experience also, when a realtor sees, something happen in a previous deal, and they take notes on the different deals that they do, and you always want to get better.
Yeah.
So they could potentially help you prevent something from happening in your own situation, because of that experience that they had in the past. So
yeah,
just wanted to bring that to light as well. For our last thing, connections.
Yeah.
How do connections play a part, with you, why would you want your realtor to be a connected or have connections?
Yeah, no, I think this is the biggest point, and the biggest selling point for a realtor. I think that the best way to provide your value as a real estate agent, as a realtor, is to provide your connections and prove your connections. So, like when I'm talking to a client and they need a pre-approval, and they might have a lender they like, they might not. They might know one that they want to reach out to, but they haven't yet.
Right.
You should have a preferred lender, 1 or 2 or 3, doesn't matter. You should have a preferred lender, have a lender that you are close with, that you can call them and say, hey, I have this new client, they need a pre-approval, could you please call them at 2 o'clock? And you tell your client, hey, I have a great lender, you don't have to use them if you don't want to, but if you'd like to, he'll give you a call at 2, and he can work you through that pre-approval. Then, if you're doing a listing, and you need any type of work done, you should have preferred people for that, whether it be an inspector for your buyers, whether it be a contractor for if they want to do anything to fix up their house before they sell it. You should have those preferred people to where you can say, hey, I'm going to call these people for you. We're going to find a time that works for them and for you guys, for them to come in and do the job. And you're doing that for them. That's part of that convenience as well, where, that second pillar that we talked about. You're doing that for them to an extent, right? You don't want to do everything for them when it's in their ballpark. But when it comes to scheduling stuff like this, you should show them what kind of value you have in those connections. Because if you're working with somebody, let's say, let me go back to the phone thing. If you need your phone fixed, right? Your phone breaks, and you go to somebody, and they say, hey, this part, I don't have it. But guess what? I have a guy who does. So he's going to give you a call. He's going to tell you how much it costs. It's going to be cheaper than the other ones. This is my preferred guy. You're going to think of that person higher than someone who you go in, and they say, or just trying to fix it yourself. You don't know who to call. You don't know who. You're going to have to price it out by yourself. You're going to have to look at all these different places. You're going to have to see where the fees come in. But if you have an agent, a great agent, that has those referrals, has those preferred people, they're going to be able to do all that work for you, and you don't even have to worry about it. So I think those connections, that is the biggest point of selling yourself as a realtor.
Definitely.
And the biggest tell to a buyer or a seller. If the agent is not showing those connections or providing you those connections or showing proof that they have them,
or if the connections that they're, sharing with you or providing to you aren't good and they're not doing their jobs, correctly.
No.
That's another sign that, you know,
they could have a room to grow.
Right.
And, you have a opportunity to find one that is great.
Right.
So it's all about proving value for the realtors listening, and it's all about finding value for the buyers and sellers out there that are listening to these. So
definitely.
Yeah, I think. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that'll wrap it up for our video today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know if there were other characteristics of great agents out there that could, that should persuade, people looking to buy, as to why they should use a realtor, or if they're looking to sell, why they should use a realtor. There's, having a realtor, will definitely make the process a lot smoother. So I definitely recommend it.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow our socials. Him and I's socials, Davy and I, we have them in the description. So make sure to go check out our Instagram, our TikTok at Let's Be Real Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Spotify as well if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on Spotify, go follow our YouTube. So,
awesome. Yep.
Yeah, but always keep it real, guys, remember. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
See ya.